So, good day. I'm happy to meet everyone. It's Media Center, and we're starting our briefing today. So, our first briefing is started with the members of the NGO Military Historical Center Memory and Glory, participants of the humanitarian project of the Armed Forces of Ukraine on the Shield. The past month, they worked with the finding and excavating of the killed bodies on the southern front. So, I give them a word. If you have questions, please send us in our messengers. And also, you have a microphone in the first line for the journalists who are presented here today. So, the first word to our members. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for invitation and opportunity to talk here about our activity in the framework of the humanitarian project of armed forces on the Shield. Today we have a small of our members here. I'm Serhii Sudnyk. I'm a deputy head of the NGO Military Historical Center Memory and Glory, and here we also have our head of our NGO and also our researcher Kateryna Rotarenko. Just a bit about our organization. Memory and Glory. It's a military historical center that was created in Odessa. And we work with research and identification of people and the burying of the soldiers of the Second World War. We're researchers that work in our regions and the places of the 1941-1944 years. During our activities, we found and buried about 440 soldiers of that war. Nowadays, our work is, our members are 14 people, it's people who are insincere to our mission that we do in the framework of the Armed Forces of Ukraine project on the Shield. Generally, the bodies of the killed soldiers are taken by soldiers from the front line or medical workers. But in some cases, it also happened, it's impossible to happen, so that in these cases, in the front zone, we are taking in the framework of the humanitarian project. It's always taken by some kind of cooperation between the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine and this kind of work called CIMIC, a special structure that work in the framework of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, asked our Center Military Memory and Glory to take part in this project because our volunteers have special experience, professional experience in this kind of work, and they also have special equipment to do it that is also important in the things. Our soldiers and officers of CIMIC are the most important people in this project, and we help them in this work. When we started the work there, our research group worked in Kyiv, Kherson, Mykolaiv, Kharkiv, and Donetsk oblasts. Our research groups and works that we are holding, they are made on the occupied territories and frontline territories, so it's dangerous to work there as it's very close to the active military actions, artillery work, aviation work, and also as a danger because it's not safe to be there. And for sure, it's dangerous because there could be a lot of mines and different kind of these weapons. These days, our activity, we work after Geneva Convention. When they have the task, we help to find out not only our soldiers, but also soldiers that are killed from our war country, because we needed to make exchange of bodies to send it to their relatives and bury them according to all their needs, according to our motivations. Researchers, it's very big into this, that work with very specific work, and we were joined even before by the love to military history, but also to the fact that all killed soldiers should be found, identified, and buried according to the rules. killed soldiers shouldn't be stayed at the fields, at the front line, and had the status of lost people. We are sure that in this war, we calculated all the mistakes that were happened in the past, and we working with clear steps and with people who saw the actions. We understand that for what we do it, and many soldiers tell us that it's important to do our work because they are waiting for their sons, husbands, families, and daughters too. And they are waiting to bury them according to the rules. We understand that it could be very difficult to find it, but we do everything we could to do it as we can. I will answer one question that is also asking in society about the amount of and the quantity of our work. To tell the truth, we cannot tell the amount of killed bodies we found, as the war is still going on, but in official sources you may find this information. And also I want to say that during our mission is working on, we got back hundreds of killed bodies to be buried. I want to highlight that our group is a volunteer, and all our activity is provided by our own resources, and we're thankful to everyone who helped us. And also I would like to thank to Odessa State Council, to Nova Ukraine, to Rotary Club, Corporacja Monsters, and other organizations who support us. Thanks for journalists who shows our work, and to everyone who is interested in our work. We will be glad if you will join us in the framework of humanitarian project on the Shield. We have our page on Facebook, and all our activities you may see on our official page on Facebook, and also you may find here the information where everyone could support our mission. Thank you. Thank you for the entrance word. First, I would like to ask, before I go the microphone to the so I know that you can't talk about the amount of people you find out killed, but as you know, there is excavation not only of Ukrainian soldiers, but also with the soldiers of Russian Federation that offended our territories. Could you tell how you work with their bodies? What are the communication, and maybe some numbers, figures, if you can tell? So if we talk about the figures, as I told, we cannot tell the direct numbers, figures. We can say how the work is going on. When we work in the frontline zone and the occupied territories, we should understand that we not always know who are the soldiers we could find from our side or from enemy's side. And that's why we try to do our work professional. The procedure that we have to be provided with a killed body, they are the same for both sides. So that it's important to work not emotionally but professionally. Thank you. So I will go the word to a journalist if they have some questions. Okay. A good day. Yeah, I will speak in Ukraine. We do not work with the local people. We work, the special enterprises work with them. But if there are some killed bodies of the people who live there, they are called the police and special enterprises who work with it. And also, the same procedure is going on with the killed body that we also found out. And experts also work there because we know that, according to our experience, that the people that we found out, they were not only killed, they also have some tortures and killed in their back, and we have some moment that we understood that they had some tortures. According to our experience, I could say that we have less amount of our soldiers than Russian soldiers. ICTV channel, I would like to ask about the detailed procedure. How is your procedure works? For example, you know that in one case the frontline active actions are cancelled and you go with your group there and started to work. Could you talk about the algorithms and the way of your work, please, in details, if it's possible? For example, we got a call from Kiev and that we need to work in some area, and then we have an order from the general staff, and we join the CIMI group. When we receive this order, we have at least two representatives of CIMIC, or maybe four, it was at past time, because our car was broken, and we have cars for our transportation and also refrigerator for the killed bodies transportation. For example, we came to the place, and then each evening we had the discussion of the location that we need to check, and we work with these places. So we come with one amount and then we receive more amount of locations. For example, there was a car and then there was a body near this car, and we received some coordinates from police to check. For example, we received some points we need to check, and then we started to check them and also ask soldiers and local people about all the moments. So when it's the occupied territory, we have soldiers there who work with it, and we receive information from them too. For example, if we come 1 week later, after the territory was occupied, we do not have such a great amount of information. So when we have two cars, we are divided in several groups and started to create logistic and work with all the points that we need to work. We have soldiers who are with us, and also with people who demine the territory, sappers. And we check all the territories. It could be fields, it could be military units, and when we find the body, we should identify whose party the body is, and then we check the coordinates and put in a package, and we also made a photo fixation, and then we send it to one location and to other location, to both sides, here and there. And then the police also come again, and specialists who describe all the situation, made the DNA tests, and prepare the bodies to the exchange if it's to that site. If it's to other sites, we check whether there is special kind of documents and try to find some relatives of these killed people. So I will continue if we have no more questions, as I remember it was in the past years. If there is possible to make identification visually, there was made a DNA expert test that actually could last for a long period of time, and some of these tests were made by years. How it's happened now? Is it more quickly, or what's happened when you put the body to special enterprises, special units, how quick for relatives to get the result. So our last trip was about 2 weeks, and when we end our trips, all the DNA tests were made and sent to the databases, and I can't say about the relatives how quickly they made their DNA tests. It depends from them. And for example, Kateryna is talking to all the relatives for example, occupied or deoccupied territories. Um, so she has a great amount of people who wants to talk to her. If it's possible to say, how many members do you have in your team, and how many groups work with the researching groups in the territory of Ukraine? Our group consists of 14 people, but we can have up to 20 people, and we also work with the people from Sumy, and they also always work with these kind of tasks. And there also Center Antares from Pavlograd. They go with the dogs, the kinologists, and help us. And the territory was difficult to find someone in the broken, destroyed territory, and they also found out people. So we have three general main groups, and there are also some other groups, but we do not connect with them. I would like also to make a question to you if you have a connection with relatives. I don't know what's more difficult, to find people or killed bodies, or to talk with people who waiting their relatives at home and understand that it's not the fact that they will find them out. Yeah, it's true. To talk with relatives is the most difficult things because I didn't show my activity in social media to the last point, but when I started to work with such kind of expeditions, I understood that it was important to tell about my activities. But just in amount of my posts, I started to talk every day with people who love their relatives or close people. It's very difficult in the moral point of view because we are not soldiers. I am not a soldier. I do not have the information about all their databases. I can't help them directly, but I collect all the data, all the information, and send it to militaries. And if they have some kind of information, then send it back to me, and we could help a bit. Also, I send the information to relatives about the hotlines where they can call to make an application for a special responsible person, and then they can understand what they will do because hotline provide them some kind of help, make them step by step what to do, and then they start to understand how the procedure works. And if hotline is not helpful for them, or then they call back to us, and if they say that we're not if we in this region that they have some relative, they ask us to check maybe if it's possible to find their close people there. Thank you. Yeah, please, Michael, could you please send the microphone? Uh, Hello, I have a question. We know that we know how Russian we know about Russians' attitude about their soldiers, but maybe you received some questions from the Russian people who ask you to find out their soldiers, their relatives. Do you have such cases? No, we don't have such cases. We know that it's no reason to ask about because there is an official website and it's possible to talk to us. We work with the general staff and we work with them, and it's our direct way to work. I also would like to add, you should understand, as Leonid said, we work from under the general staff, and it's very good organized, and this work was created even before the 4th of February. So we have a long military actions on Donbass, and our researchers group work there, and the work is well coordinated. So we have a great one center, and this center responsible to work further. It's important to understand. I have a question to you or to Serhii. How long, uh, how long are you going to continue this work? Because the winter is coming, and as I understand, in December or January, it would be difficult to make such kind of works. We will continue without stop, It's possible to work even in winter. According to our experience, the only one moment that's make us to put us on a pause because it's possible to work under the snow. It's impossible to demine the territories during the snow. So when we will have snow, we will have a pause. But if this territory will be clean from mines before the snowing, we could continue. And cold and freeze is not a problem. We do not need to dig deeply. I also have a question about the occupied territories. I understand that during the past months you work with the territories that were just deoccupied recently. Could you tell maybe there is some kind of specification? Because I understand that there were many objects that were mined before Russian soldiers went away, and also understood the specification that there should be a great amount of destroyed and burnt technique, military technique. When we came to Zoom, we came when the territory was deoccupied. So we came after 5 days of the occupation of this territory. There was a great amount of destroyed, damaged, and forgotten military vehicles, equipment. We have never seen such kind of techniques. And when we talk to people, they took all these techniques to different parts, and there were special units that tried to repair these techniques. And it's true, they say that that's such kind of lend-lease we didn't receive before. And then they also thought that at one village they ran away so quickly. So when our came, they saw 6 tanks that were well equipped, fully equipped, and no people. There are only 6 fully equipped tanks. Yes, the territory were very mined. There were a lot of mines, and it's absolutely different situation there because people try to make the territory clean from mines as soon as possible. They try to make all the roads possible to go through because there are different attitude from people to people because they have one big suffer and they try to help as much as everyone can. And I could say that I got a great impression when we, on the way from Oskol, it's close to the front line, show um, we show a great amount of tanks and techniques that were on the way to the front line, and they understood that they were going to the front line and what could be there, but they were smiling and handshaking and smiling to each other. It's very important. I also would like to ask, you talked about Izum, but as I understand, on the southern front, the situation is a bit different. As I know from the open sources, there is no such kind of running of Russian soldiers as from Izum. Could you tell about your work in Kherson way, Mykolaiv way, and what about the people? How many people in these villages were under occupation? How did you talk to them? Did they help to you, or how it was? Yeah, they help us a lot, but I will give a word to Kateryna because she knows how to talk to all elderly people. For sure, local people are always ready to contact. I always connect to them with Serhii or just by myself. They tell many stories. They also say points where it's important to go or not to go, and they paint these points just on the ground, discussing how it's possible to go there, and then we check the information. I was impressed that they are different. They are really different. You may see that the people who came under the occupation, they are different. You may see it in their eyes, but they are very strong. They are ready to do something to live, and you understand that you come there to make some missions. They really support. They do not always understand why we are finding out the Russian soldiers too, but when we explain that they go to the exchange of bodies and that these people do not need them in their backyards or something like this, and we also understand that when we want to deoccupy all our territories, we need to deoccupy even from killed bodies, because their grandchildren will not want to see the occupant, the enemies, somewhere in the backyards. And when we discuss it and explain all the situation, they are really great to go to the contact and to discuss everything with us. Also, I would like to say something about the statistics data. If we talk about villages, so for example, there was 12,000 of people, but now there's like 1,500. If some villages are located, um, for example, there were some thousands of people that live at the villages near the front line, and now there is much more less, about several decades of people, several dozens of people. And if we talk about the equipment on Kherson Way, there are also dozens of equipment of military vehicles that are burned. So special brigade that are work with the repairment, they do not have a lot of work because the techniques was burned and destroyed. So they do not have a lot of work because not big amount of techniques in well condition. So thank you for the briefing. If there is no questions, we will make a pause, and our journalists will have a chance to talk to our members after the conference. Just in 30 minutes, we will have the next briefing. We will talk about with the volunteers who work with the soldiers, and we will also discuss about the military help that our soldiers need. So we will see in 30 minutes. Thank you.